We are joined by Mr. Jasmin Guenette, the Vice President of National Affairs at the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Mr. Guenette, welcome to the show.
My pleasure.
Now, I'm looking at these numbers and they are extraordinarily high. 2.4 million Canadian jobs are also at risk if more small businesses close. So can you give our viewers some perspective of the situation and what's at risk for our economy coming out of this pandemic?
1 in 6 business, as you mentioned, is at risk of closing because of COVID-19. And that's just our mid-range estimate. It could be as high as 1 business in 4. And so that could be more than 200,000 jobs, 200,000 businesses that could be at risk. And so each week that passes without improvement on the business front, could push more entrepreneurs to close their business. And so obviously, the more businesses that disappear, the more jobs that we will lose, the harder it will be for the economy to recover.
And these estimates are on top of the 58,000 small businesses that have already closed in 2020. So how many jobs were already lost due to this?
It's hard to say at this point, and it's hard to have a definitive number on the businesses that closed in 2020. What we know is the latest estimate from StatsCan is showing that 58,000 business became inactive last year. But the employment rate is roughly a little more than 500,000 fewer, lower to 500,000 lower compared to where it was at the start of the pandemic. So these show the great impact the pandemic had on businesses and employment.
Now, at the same time, restrictions are different between the provinces. So are there any regions in the country that are hardest hit in terms of closures and financial struggles for small businesses?
Yes. First, it's pretty difficult across Canada, where only 47% of small business are fully open. Ontario is the hardest hit province. Only 37% of small businesses in Ontario are open. Imagine that 80% of small businesses in Ontario are not making normal sales. Then it's the province of Quebec with only 44% of small business being open. And then it's Manitoba with only 45% of small business being open. And so the situation is quite difficult in all provinces, but I would say that Ontario is the hardest hit.
All right, sir, we've got a little over a minute left, so let's get into the available federal and provincial supports for small businesses. Where can small business owners go right now to access some financial support, and is it enough to help them survive?
Good question. The federal government has put in place different programs like a wage subsidy program, a rent and mortgage program, as well as what they call the CFIB loan program. And so provinces also have a different program in place. I would recommend that business owner look up the CFIB website for information. But there's definitively changes to be made to the federal programs and improvement to be made. For example, a new business, those that were established after March 2020 don't have access to federal programs. The wage subsidy program should be increased the amount should be increased for the businesses that are forced to close. And also the CFIB loan program, which has proven to be quite popular, should be made easier to access for the many businesses that still cannot have access to that program.
All right, Mr. Guenette from CFIB, again, thank you so much for your time today on our show.